Welcome to Barely Maintaining, the ultimate podcast for die-hard Chicago Bears fans. Join your host, Ryan Burheit, and me, Michael Guyton, as we dive into all things Bears. From game analysis and player insights to the latest news and fan stories, Ryan and I cover it all. Whether cheering from Soldier Field or your living room, Barely Maintaining keeps you connected to your favorite team. Now, let's get ready to bear down. Welcome, everybody, we're on episode 24 now. It is December 21st, the Saturday before the Sunday before Christmas. We will talk about our recent loss to the Vikings on Monday Night Football. Another embarrassment. Really putting the Bears in embarrassment. Over the last few weeks here. Really, let's be honest, really the last half of the season here. We'll talk about our game coming up against the Lions. Do we stand a chance? Look ahead in the future here, because I think that's kind of what we're out of the playoffs. It's time to head in that direction. So that'll be the next step, what the future holds for us. And, of course, we'll kind of wrap up what's going on around the league. We will talk about college football because we got that coming up. Are you still with me, Ryan? I lost you on the camera. Perfect. Excellent. There's some games going on today, actually, oddly enough, aside from college, but there's also some NFL that's active today. So we'll talk about some of those games. Of course, the Kansas City Chiefs just don't lose. I don't understand. They're like the worst good team in history. But yeah, do you have any news?
Yes, I have a bunch. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah, you're fixing your things. Let me take a quick look here at some of the games that are going on right now, because that's kind of more relevant, I think, to what's happening than what the Bears are up to in the league, because unfortunately, it hasn't been a good year, right? And it continues to not be.
Yeah.
Ravens made the Steelers look like they don't belong, 34-17. Chiefs were in a battle with the Texans there. They won 27-19, but it sounds further away than it was. It was a little more of a battle. And then we had the Chargers pulling one out on Thursday night against the rival Denver Broncos. Chargers kind of whooped up on them in the first and then let them come back, really.
Yeah. That's what I saw a lot of.
Which I'm like, dude, can somebody I like win? I mean, Alabama's not in the playoff. Bears are out of the playoffs. This is like a real off year for me, you know what I mean, football-wise? Because usually I got Alabama to cling to, you know?
Right.
And then, of course, my secondary NFL team, like I mentioned earlier, in the year, is the Chargers. And you don't even really have a secondary team. The Iowa's your secondary team, so kind of in the same boat, I guess you just have to be optimistic about the future, right?
Every year.
If you noticed, Ryan's got a new setup there, so he's tweaking some of the ins and outs of it. So you can see he's got a much cooler layout now. We're vastly, well, I wouldn't say vastly, but we're incrementally improving here over and over. And much bigger
don't say vastly. Last week I was in my kitchen, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, kind of is vastly, comparatively. But you can see he has room for a guest now. He's got some TVs there to watch. He's got a TV that it looks like came out of my bedroom in high school there.
That one's for video games.
Very cool. Got the coax hookup in the back.
Yep.
So what's happening around I saw Tank Dell got injured. I know that, right?
Yeah. In this game today, there was a significant injury. I didn't get a chance to watch it. I was watching college football, obviously with the playoffs going a little bit more important to me. But some pretty crazy injury. It looked like he broke something to his leg. I actually have that on the news here. He suffered a knee injury and lost the Chiefs. He's to remain in the hospital overnight. So something somewhat significant. Hopefully nothing too crazy, but definitely something to look out for.
Yeah, I saw it's with his knee, and his kneecap was dislocated as part of it. So
Those ones. I feel like those ones are a lot more gruesome looking.
Yeah, because that bone's like a floating bone, so it can move. But I'm kind of remember like stuff like briefly happened when you're a kid. You fall wrong and stuff, and it's like out of place a little bit, and it just freaks you out, and you push it back in place.
Yeah,
and that is super sore. So I can only imagine the level,
right,
times that by 1,000 or whatever. I saw only that play really because that's kind of floating around the news, and he just laid there immediately. He knew. He's like, call somebody over or something, ain't right. My kneecap's around the backside.
Yeah, but there is a bunch of other news too. Falcons expected to cut Cousins before the $10 million is due.
Wow.
Yeah, that's insane. I was not expecting that, to be honest.
I'm not happy. I'm not happy with Ryan Poles currently, but he ain't doing that stuff.
Yeah, I just feel like he is not himself after that Achilles.
Yeah, but who is? Who has been? Honestly, quarterback-wise. I keep thinking...
look at Rodgers.
I was thinking about today, it's like, what guys came back and been as good? Carson Wentz was a Super Bowl quarterback. I know he got injured or whatever, and it was really Nick Foles, but he played great that season. Now he's a backup to Pat Mahomes.
Chiefs,
yeah. So it's like, that injury is a killer, really, for a good quarterback that's a kind of a scrambling quarterback. I don't really say scrambling because Rodgers, but he's maneuverable. It was hard to sack.
Yeah,
and
elusive at least.
There you go, elusive. Yeah, and not so much anymore, right?
Right. Other news: we got Ravens clinched the playoff berth after they kind of routed the Steelers, like you said. So they clinched that. Devondre Campbell won't be part of the 49ers after his refusal to enter a game. Shanahan reported that. So he really screwed up there, which I totally agree. Halftime he was just like, no, I'm not going back out there. If you won't play me, I'm not going back out. So,
right.
Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
Then we had Tyler Higbee is ready to return from his ACL injury he had. I believe it was last year or maybe early this year. And then Myles Garrett says he wants to end his career with the Browns, but he's not trying to rebuild. So you're kind of on the wrong team there because the Browns, I feel like, have been rebuilding his entire career.
Yeah,
so.
And honestly, like, they made some huge mistakes. They got rid of Baker Mayfield and went with Deshaun, who's obviously...
Honestly, I feel like Baker is the quarterback he is because of the situation that happened.
I agree. He kind of had to get out of there and be humbled to kind of... And then go be with Sean McVay and kind of, I agree completely. But his ceiling is much better than Deshaun's, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And
I think we've seen kind of the last great Deshaun by any means.
Knee injury there, right?
Right.
So
knee injury and massages.
Yeah, which was like an extra year on top of the rehab or whatever. So that's a killer for a quarterback.
Yeah. 100%.
Has there been one that's been injured like young and came back and been good, and we didn't know he was good before? Like Anthony Richardson's situation, but prior, you know what I mean? Because we're still trying to figure out, like, is he good or, you know what I mean?
I feel like not at the quarterback position because it really scares you away from a quarterback if they get injured, kind of going into the draft. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to do some more research and see about that, but it just doesn't seem like anybody comes back and is as competitive,
I got some more news here. College football playoffs news. Indiana loses to Notre Dame, even with the late rally they had. Penn State destroyed SMU, and Texas handled Clemson. And then I've also got some Chicago news here. Cubs reunion with Sosa in the works. So that'd be pretty cool. Cubs trade Bellinger to the Yanks in exchange for the righty Poteet, I believe is how you say his name. Cubs acquired the 3-time All-Star outfielder Tucker from Houston. And then the Winter Classic at Wrigley will be on the 31st, so that's coming up. I'm pretty excited about that. I'm going to definitely try and catch that game. And then back to the NFL, the kind of division leaders here are Bills at 11-3 for the AFC, Chiefs at 14-1 for the AFC West, Ravens at AFC North at 11-5. Texans at 9-7 at the AFC South. And then the NFC is a little bit more up in the air. Eagles are 12-2 at NFC East. Rams, that division's pretty crazy, but they lead it right now, 8-6. Currently tied with the Seahawks, but have the game over the Seahawks. And then, honestly, everybody's still in the mix in that division. Lions at 12-2 are the North leaders, but Vikings are right on their tails. And then the Bucks at 8-6 are the NFC South leaders. So, I mean, NFC is definitely still pretty hectic, I would say.
Yeah, and I think we can still be spoilers.
Yeah. I mean, I really hope so, optimistically.
I don't want to I would honestly don't ever really want to be in a position to where we're playing for draft picks. Versus winning. I'd rather just win.
Yeah.
In any situation, we're going to get a decent pick either way. We got a ton of cap room. I honestly want to win some of these games and beat the Seahawks and kind of knock them down and whoever, of course, Green Bay at the end of the year. Lions are coming off of a shootout, with
and they are just devastated with injuries right now.
Yeah.
David Montgomery's out for probably the rest of the season now.
He's done. Let's be honest. Even if he comes back, it's going to be probably too soon. And if it is postseason, even then,
Yeah.
And then everything kind of ramps up as far as the intensity level anyway. So.
Yeah. Which I feel bad. It's so fun watching him. Well, one, I'm a big fan of David Montgomery. Like, it sucks that we lost him, but I feel like we do that with every running back. I feel like because we had like Jordan Howard who went on and did well other places for a little bit. We had Montgomery who went well other places. I mean, it just sucks that we lose them. But the Sonic and Knuckles thing is awesome.
Yeah,
I love watching that, and they're embracing it so hard. But Jahmyr Gibbs is freaking elusive as hell, and then you got Knuckles or David Montgomery coming in and just slamming you in the face for 4 quarters.
It's funny because I think they're in like a friendly competition when I watch them play. It's like seeing who can do the coolest, oh, did you see my shit,
Yeah,
it is fun to watch. It's hard to not root for the Lions, even though they're in division, and it's like you'd rather see them than Green Bay, and of course Vikings,
See the Vikings, Lions, and then any other team other than the Packers.
Yeah.
It's just, I've never really hated either the Vikings or the Lions. The crazy thing is they always draft like Iowa players, so I always end up like somewhat watching them a little bit because they've always just had Iowa players. Like Chad Greenway was on the Vikings forever as a linebacker,
and they've never been a threat. You know what I mean? No offense, but that team was never really a threat to us. They're pretty good over the last few years, but
we've went back and forth with them. It hasn't been like not like the Packers are just freaking embarrassing us every year at this point.
Yeah. But I will say this: the Packers having all that winning, still, nothing more championship wise.
Right.
Not in the last decade. So it's like you can brag about all the winning you want. It hasn't been in the Super Bowl. And at a certain point, what's it all for? You had Aaron Rodgers for like 12 years.
Yeah.
You got one?
Before that, you had Favre for 12 years.
And you got one? Or two?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think just one.
Tom Brady
right?
had like 6, didn't he?
Did Favre get one?
Yeah, I think he did. He had to. There's no way they let him throw out many interceptions unless that guy was a Super Bowl.
Speaking of Brett Favre, did you see that weird incident that's been going on?
Yeah. You took a dive, Brett. You did. I was like, okay, this guy CT is catching up with him. I think. No offense.
Yeah, it was wild.
Brett Favre isn't a great guy. He stole money from the government during COVID and stuff. Allegedly, don't know. Don't sue us. We don't know anything what Pat McAfee's up to. We don't agree with him. I don't know.
Also, don't send us nudes. We're not that side either.
But if you have those painkillers still.
He won one and lost one. Back to back, actually.
Perfect. See? Perfect example. Whoop-de-dingle.
XXXI, which is
31?
Yeah, I think so. Because X is 10, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 31 and 32 he won 31 and lost 32.
That's even worse, you know? I remember seeing my buddies cry in 2006. And we came out and we thought we were going to blow the doors off them.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell them about the Happy Can real quick, and then we'll come back and talk about this Lions beatdown. Or who was it? Yeah. Was it the Lions?
Vikings.
Vikings, yeah.
We play Lions this week.
We're playing the
They're
Lions.
going to beat us down this week.
But that was also a beatdown last time we played them, so. And I kept thinking this week, it'd be nice if we were just competitive. I know they're a better team than us, and they're probably going to win, but if we could hang with them, we didn't even hang with them.
Dude, I stretched it out over like 3 viewing cycles and was just miserable.
Continually
all 3 times.
Disappointed. Yeah, you're like, I can't take all this depression in one sitting. I'm going to just spread it out. So
I was working on Monday, so I couldn't watch it, and then it just was awful.
And then had to go see the therapist after watching the first and second quarters to get my sanity back. And then after I went to therapy, I watched and then you would just expect him to do good now in the second or last, when it's almost too late, and that didn't even happen.
Yeah.
I don't even get that anymore. So, let's get happy with this Happy Can for a second.
All right, Bears fans, before we dive back into the game talk, we've got to shout out today's sponsor, the Happy Can.
Yeah, if you're looking for a refreshing way to unwind after a long day without the alcohol, but with all the chill vibes, the Happy Can is definitely where it's at.
The Happy Can is a lab-tested, vegan-friendly, alcohol-free beverage that's infused with THC and CBD. Whether you're kicking back at home or catching up with friends, it's the perfect way to relax without the hangover.
Exactly. It's crafted for those of us who are over 21 and want to enjoy the benefits of THC and CBD without any of the alcohol. Plus, it's delicious, responsibly sourced, and did we mention, it's vegan-friendly.
Yep, no sketchy ingredients, just pure chill in a can. So if you're looking for something new to sip on, grab yourself a Happy Can and keep those good vibes going.
Make sure to check them out on buythehappycan.com and use code BarelyHappy for a special discount for just our listeners. Cheers to a happy, healthier way to unwind.
The Happy Can, because life's better when you're chill.
Make sure you check them out, thehappycan.com. I mean, we actually really enjoy Happy Can. They are chill. And I'd rather be chill than drunk, personally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a personal choice, not against it. I don't mind being drunk sometimes, but on a regular basis, chill's better than drunk.
Yeah.
I would like to say they're probably not going to buy the numbers this week because the numbers couldn't have been that good.
Yeah, I feel like they've went away from those.
And continually questionable decisions. Like, for example, this week, starting left tackle Amagaji last second. The left tackle from Yale. And he was getting eaten alive. And you got no help either.
Yeah, it's come back so hard to bite him in the ass of what he said at the draft.
Yeah.
He ain't gonna get touched.
Yeah.
Dude, you let 5 sacks up this week. What are you talking about?
Yeah, man, you did not belong out there for sure. And I'm not saying, I just think he's young and is raw,
Yeah.
Let's see, what did we have here for passing? 18 of 31 for 191 yards. And again, I mean, Caleb holds the ball too long in certain situations and stuff, but our line sucks. There's no, his confidence is gone. I can see that personally. And then there's like normal, if these guys are catching more of these, like there's 13 targets to Keenan Allen and he caught 8 of them, If he catches 3 more of those, he's averaging 13 yards. That's another 30, that's another touchdown at least, So I don't know. He's not getting a lot of help from people that should be helping him either. Swift had 19 rushes, 79 yards. They tried to get the running game going. There was actually some really good running out of DJ Moore, believe it or not. I was pretty impressed with him, how they were like injecting him into the game. 3 rushes, 24 yards, averaging 8 yards a carry, the longest being 9 yards. But those are the kind of details you need. You need some like off-speed stuff like Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, right?
So it would do a lot of things like he would do that kind of wrap around, and then he would just go sit, and then that would be like a little screen pass. That was it was like a screen pass / like dump off pass. That was like you just sit over there, and then wait, and then he'd kind of cut it up the field and do what he does on that. Except for the coverage was so soft because the play was so drawn out from there that nobody was just covering him.
Right. Or someone's running across the field to try to get there to catch up.
Right.
I will say that's why I'm interested in Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator from Lions, as far as a head coach, because watching him this season, one thing some of the experts have said is you can see his game planning off the last game plan where he did say a lot of runs. He'll show that same formation, and now it's a play action or it's a screen pass, and then later in the game it's back to that run that it was on the tape that you now think is a, you know what I mean? So he's like game planning on the game planning. He's always like a step ahead, and head coach is different. Like Thomas Brown's a great offensive coordinator, but you've seen the shoes got big once he had to kind of do all of it. So I don't know. That's what I want out of a head coach. I want to see like that, not just where we're like trying to get 3 plays and get a first down. Just struggling to like even accomplish anything in the first drive of the game. Because again, it was like a lot of 3 and outs. Let me see here. I have the drive summary. Chicago Bears, time received. We had it for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. The first, we had 4 plays for 9 yards. Given up on downs. Second drive, 4 minutes, 30 seconds, 8 plays, 25 yards gained, and we fumbled it. Third drive, let's see, 2 minutes, 51 seconds, and we punted after 5 plays. You know what I mean? It's like, that's nothing. You're not doing anything at that point. And now Vikings, they got a field goal, touchdown, and then their third drive was an interception. But they've already scored 10 points now. You know what I mean? To your nothing. So, and then Ben Johnson's already got those 15 plays, and he's already scored 2 touchdowns, with the Lions. And he's toying with them already. Because now you're expecting stuff that's turning into other stuff.
I'd be curious to see what he does with just the one running back this week. Right.
Because that was the thing. I wouldn't say it was Ben Johnson why the Bills won that game. Defense gave up a lot of points.
Yeah. Which is hard against Josh Allen. I mean, you're just going to give up points against him, but kind of have to limit it a little bit.
If you have a guy spying him, he's passing on you. He just is. Yeah. And then if you don't spy him, he's running for touchdowns. I mean, what do you want? Pick your poison. What do you want?
Exactly. Yeah, it's tough.
And he proved with Stephon Diggs, he don't need him. We don't need big name receivers and stuff. He's gonna. If it's easier for a wide receiver to get open if you have enough time, right? You just juke around enough, you're gonna get some separation from even the best cornerbacks, And some of those guys can close distance really good, but I mean, you got Josh Allen running around back there or running out, and it's just
threat is always there for him to take off. Like
that was a fun game to watch as far as offense goes. Like just seeing the juggernauts that they could be, that they both are, really. It
reminded me of that what was it, the Rams Seahawks or something like that?
Yeah.
Where it was like an insane amount of points.
Yeah, it was I think
a few years ago.
But yeah, there was like that was just a shootout, which was cool to see. But
Rams Chiefs 54-51.
Oh man. Yeah, so that Lions game was the highest scoring game this year, and it was in the 80s or 90s, I think, but they were both in the 40s. But as a Lions, as a Lions fan, I'd be a little bit alarmed because you're not going to be able to win those. That's a playoff game. You're obviously losing it in that case, but I mean,
the Super Bowl though.
Yeah.
I mean,
you need defense, man. You need to slow people down, and you got.
I was listening to Busting with the Boys, and they had John Gruden on it.
Yeah.
And he said the 3 components you need for Super Bowl are coach, quarterback, and then fourth quarter rusher. So like your TJ Watts, your all of that, like all of those, the Bosas, like those guys, like those are where your teams come in. That's why the Chiefs are always able to win it, because they got Andy Reid, they've got Patrick Mahomes, and they always have some sort of defensive lineman that in the fourth quarter, when it comes time, can get through the line. And so
because really you only need the guy a couple key plays late in the game, right?
Yeah, and I don't know if the Lions have that third piece now that what's his name? I'm forgetting it all of a sudden.
Aiden Hutchinson.
Hutchinson, that's right. And now that he's gone,
since one of his,
obviously with that gruesome injury,
one of his legs turned into 2 legs.
Yeah, so like that obviously sucks a lot, but you're kind of screwed there. So do you turn that around and have that defense? And all of their cornerbacks are hurt. Like every one of their. So are they going to get healthy enough in time for the playoffs, or is it all going to kind of come crumbling down? Which really sucks, because like I am rooting for them, because they are the only other team I'd really want to see, obviously, at this point.
Well, and this is where it like gets real important to be a good coach or a good whoever, because some of your guys, you can see you're in the freaking playoffs. Yeah, you got to get healthy, man. So and that's part of the game. It just unfortunately is. You're going to have injuries. Everyone has them. Yeah, it seems like Lions have some key injuries for sure. But that's part of the game, and overcoming it and being a championship team. It's like, do you think Patriots had no injuries on any of those years that they won? It's like, it seems like, well, for sure they didn't really go after wide receivers and stuff, so he was piecing it together anyway. But yeah, so
you could have a year of Brady getting hurt, and then Garoppolo and Brissett being the starters for a few games. Yeah, in the early part of the season. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, it just is always like, you kind of have to have the guys kind of rally around. Speaking of like sitting guys though, like why is Caleb still out there in those types of games?
I guess reps.
But you can clearly see him, like he was like laying on the bench at one point.
Well, and honestly, if I'm a McCaskey or even Ryan Poles, if I'm trying to save my job, I'm like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Let's give Badgett some playing time.
Like,
I don't know.
You only have Badgett left. Like, if Caleb goes down, we have nobody else other than Badgett.
Did you see that the Vikings QB room? Five. One of them's Brett Rippon, the one we had. They have Nick Mullins. They have Daniel Jones. They have Sam Darnold, and then J.J. McCarthy. So they have 5 guys in that room.
So one on IR, right?
Yep.
Is Rippon in their quarterback room? Is he on the active roster?
Let's see.
Find it wild that we don't have
on the roster, but not active. It says Brett Rippon.
So I wonder if he's just like he doesn't dress.
Yeah, he wasn't dressed
unless one of them goes down.
Yeah, because
I would assume at this point, Daniel Jones is probably your backup, right?
Your practice squad? I mean, how is it working that you have 5 freaking quarterbacks?
Yeah, but I don't get why we don't have 3. That was the wildest and dumbest thing to me in the offseason. I think I brought it up at the beginning of the season that it was going to hurt us. But, like, why, when you cut down to your roster...
We do. We have 3. We have Austin Reed, remember?
But he's on practice squad.
Right.
So it takes time for him to get. So
how are these guys doing this? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Because literally, they were at the game. I saw they showed the sideline and Brett Rippon was there. I'm like, it'd be cool to have him.
Yeah, but I don't understand why we didn't like that third. Because I always feel like most teams carry 3, like actively dressing just in case.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks. Why do you not have that third? Badgen only has 50 snaps, probably tops, right? Or no, he probably has more than that because he started a few games.
Yeah, he played a couple games.
Either way.
But still, I mean, what does that
like
matter?
150 snaps, maybe. In his NFL career, and that's the guy that you have Caleb learning from? Like, not that he's a bad quarterback, but where's your veteran? Where's your Chase Daniels? Where's your...
Well, I'm going to tell you this, and I'm a Ryan Poles fan, but I started looking at it, it's like, man... There's not your third round picks over the last few years have been Amagaje, which is our left tackle, who got absolutely blown up. Zach Pickens, who's
has a brighter future.
Yeah. Defensive line, Zach Pickens, who's coming on, he's not bad, and then Velus Jones Jr. So, I mean, what the heck, bro? Those are your picks?
Like third round should not be.
And third round's like one of the more important ones to me. You know what I mean?
It's building up guys, but also you should expect them to be, subbing in at least, not coming in like Amagaji and being like Swiss freaking cheese. Like
teams are finding I think that tight end on the Green Bay Packers, Kraft was like a third or fourth. You know what I mean? And he's good. So I mean, come on. So I've lost my faith in now. You're a line guy, and our line is, what is this? You thought getting a third-round pick on the left tackle and picking up a fourth-round pick for Shelton was going to be the answer?
Right.
You sold me. I literally thought, the backup other places is good here. No, he's still a backup, man. And now he's starting and getting decimated.
Yeah. We have to get... I think the number one thing is linemen at this point. We have to get offensive linemen.
I will say, I'm glad he got Odunze, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%. Odunze is a shining star, and I hope he is with the Bears for a long time.
Yeah.
Because him and Caleb, if they can go, if we can get a line and we can get these, those two have a very, very bright future together.
Anybody from the line you're willing to build off of? Currently, the starters from last week were Amagaje, Tevin Jenkins, Shelton, Pryor, and Darnell Wright. I honestly, standpoint, I like Tevin Jenkins and I like Darnell Wright. Tevin Jenkins can't stay healthy, unfortunately, but I think Darnell Wright is kind of the future. He's in his second or third year, and
that dude has the weirdest stance, though. That man stands up like an old man.
He does, but
it works.
I think it's confusing for defensive linemen or something.
Yeah,
don't hurt this guy.
I would say Pryor isn't awful a lot of the times.
No,
but I wouldn't say he's the future.
No, I think that right side is pretty strong compared to the left side.
Yeah, Amagaji is really weird because I feel like there's some games where when he subs in or something, like wasn't there? What game was it? He came in late in one of the games, the second half or whatever, let in a sack or two, and then was clutch the rest of the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
That part of him is great, but it's the fact that this week it was so many.
There was plays where he was actually during run plays plowing down the field. I was like, oh, this kid might be really good. I think that's the problem. It's he's a third round pick that you spent a third round pick on a kid that probably should have been later because no one was hunting for him, and he's developmental. He's a Chicago kid, which is awesome, and Yale, so he's smart. But the skill at the position isn't there yet. Not good enough to be left tackle, which is the hardest position on the line because you're blindside blocking, and dudes are just blowing by him.
Yeah, and Tevin Jenkins, I will say, has done better at being healthier as of late.
Every time I see someone rolling around, though, he makes me nervous. It's stay away from Tevin's ankles.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
they're glass.
Yeah, it's like I don't. It's like I don't want to worry about that. But you're gonna have injuries anyway.
It's like Sonny, Addy, or Max grab something off the shelf that's breakable. And like, whoa!
Yeah. Yeah. It's basically like having a coffee table in the middle of your living room that the kids are playing in with glass stuff all over it.
Yeah.
And hoping it blocks them.
While throwing a ball actively at them.
Yeah. No, and that's trying to stop them from getting to ice cream on the other side. They get in that ice cream. I don't know. I don't have enough confidence in his availability, and that's like we mention all the time, your main ability that we need, you know?
Yeah.
Especially online. So a lot of work there. So yeah, that's on your list, right? I mean, offensive line. I think you're right. Defensive line, we don't get any penetration. And honestly, all the experts say if you're watching football, you want to see who's winning the game, just watch the line. Whichever way that they're going, you know, back towards the offense or back towards the defense, that's who's getting the push. You know, that's who's winning.
Yeah. And I would say the beginning of the season was great because, like, you had Billings. Like, he was helping Sweat out a lot, and Sweat was able to get through. And Sweat's able to be double-teamed every play of the game because they're not scared of anybody on that defensive line.
No. No, our defensive line is Cowart, Pickens, Sweat. The defensive line inside is Cowart and Pickens, and then you have DeMarcus Walker and Montez Sweat. And then Edwards and Edmonds as far as linebackers go.
I feel like Booker just isn't getting very many reps.
No.
Like he'll be out there when I see him, but I feel like he's just not really getting it.
Yeah. And
which sucks. I was really hoping he would play really well.
Tyreek Stevenson.
And it's not like he's playing awful when he's out there. It's just he's not getting those reps.
Yeah, and he's getting in the backfield because I saw him out there a bunch, not as far as starting goes, you know, but he's in the backfield, but just like right at the release, you know?
Yeah.
So
which
I think
is a great sign. Like, I think in the future he's going to be good. It's just one of those other picks. That's just like another thing that's like, because he was he 5th round?
Yeah, I think so.
So, I mean, that is where Booker, being a guy that, hey, we're seeing some bright stuff. He is a developmental guy. Like, we're going to have to develop him a little bit. He's getting in the backfield at the release. Probably develop him a little bit. He'll be in the backfield. He'll be... I'm not saying he's going to be a Bosa or a Watt or a Montez Sweat even, but going to be your solid guy that they can't double team just Sweat. I mean, they're going to have to focus him on the other side too. So that is your 5th round type of guy.
Yeah.
Not like earlier, kind of going back a little bit, Amagaji, who's 3rd round, and we thought he was going to be great, but we really got to develop this guy a lot. And he's letting sacks up. He's showing some really bright spots here and there, but a lot of it's kind of the blocking's not all there. And especially for, like you said, your left tackle, who's you have to have a good left tackle. Like,
if you have a right-handed quarterback, anyway.
Yeah.
But it's just how many times you get a number 1 pick?
Right.
It's a quarterback. You know what I mean? That you get to use on a quarterback, and it's worth it and all that. And here we are. It's like, good luck out there, bud. We're going to stick some freaking stick figures in front of you and hope for the best. I don't know. He literally didn't even know he started until the day before. And it's like, you didn't pre-plan that? Like, I get there might have been an injury, but like, why isn't... I don't know, man. I have a bunch of questions on how the operation is operating.
Yeah, 100%. Makes me nervous.
Yeah, for sure. Let me tell them about dead threads real quick, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about the expectations of the game for the Lions, if you have any. And then what you think on where we're gonna go. Do you think will they make us happy, or they do what we want, the Bears administration, or will they keep us disappointed and pick up a quarterback from the Canadian coach from the Canadian Football League that
Yeah, Jesus. Yeah.
is a special teams
Was that Mark
coach.
Tressel, right?
Tressman. See, you don't even remember his name. You don't even remember his name. Because, again, we thought he was the worst coach. If you're all about expressing yourself through what you wear, then you gotta check out Dead Threads. They got the most wicked collection of t-shirts that scream individuality. Want vintage vibes with your favorite team? Dead Threads has a tee for every vibe and every occasion, whether you're chilling at home, hitting the streets, or even hosting your own podcast. Use code BARELY for 10% off and tell them Barely Maintain sent you. Tell them we love them. Wear your stuff out. Don't forget to bring a stick to beat the women back. Because those shirts have magical powers. Yeah, the best-selling shirt in the world is the Three Wolves Howl at the Moon shirt on Amazon. Because somebody put on there, I put this shirt on and it changed my life. I recommend going on Amazon and look at the Three Wolves Howl at the Moon shirt reviews. There's like 10 million of them now. But people, and there's other people like, I put the shirt on and didn't give me any magic powers at all. No women even talk to me. but there's a bunch that, whole stories on how their life was changed and they met women and got fame and fortune from these three moon.
That just reminds me of like every like thread where it's like a guy trying to pick up a girl and it's like they're like, oh, John saved my life and he ran into a burning building and woke me up and carried me out, or like, and then it's just like a million stories that are just like them trying to secure the bag for the guy. It's just, I love those.
Yeah, that's basically that. But also people like, I don't know if they're also joking, but playing like they thought it was real and and it didn't work, so they're angry.
Yeah, I hope so, but also I feel like they're definitely not joking and they thought it would.
I try to look at the location. That's how I determine it. There's some places in the world that, yeah, you don't know any better. So we have a Sunday noon game at home versus the Lions. It helps that we're home, and it's a short week because we go Thursday night against Seattle.
A million Thursday night games this year.
Just kill us already. Can we just take just forfeit the last couple games? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's been crazy. I feel like we've had a ton of them.
I can't even keep up. It's like, hey, you're going to need a new app for this week.
Yeah.
You're going to need to download that. You want to watch this game. Also, not available in Illinois. Yeah, so...
It's like HBO Max is now streaming some stuff.
The Super Bowl is going to have its own app you have to download. If you
looked at the Ohio State score.
What is it?
35-10.
Tennessee?
Ohio State.
There goes that part.
It's kind of been boring. Everybody who's supposed to win has won.
It's exactly what we thought was going to happen is going to happen.
I thought Tennessee would at least put up a fight, but
I'm an Alabama fan.
No fights these games.
I'm an Alabama fan and I love Bryce. But man, every time that someone loses, he's just like, see, we should have been there. I'm like, I don't know,
with him about that.
I honestly, I told him as soon as that Oklahoma game is we could have won every game, and if we lost that Oklahoma game, I still would say we shouldn't have been in there. 3 points we scored and didn't do nothing against an unranked team. We don't deserve to be in this playoff, but some of these other teams don't either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got in an argument with him a little bit because, and then the whole group chat that I'm in with them and like a couple of other guys is like, oh, well, now you can't be complaining that we're mad about, like Hunter jumped in and was like, you can't complain about us getting crap about Iowa teams. Like, but I know what Iowa is. I tell everybody that, hey, I would be surprised if Iowa won this game.
Yeah.
I'm not a delusional fan that's like this. Like, and I'm not saying he's delusional for thinking Alabama wins or should have been in. There was a great conversation about it. But at the same time, SMU, if they wouldn't have came back, I feel like Bama gets in. SMU came back against Clemson.
Yeah.
And they made it a game in the last couple seconds, where it was like kind of a toss-up for their championship.
I get the argument, strength of schedule and all that stuff, but when you lose a game like you lost to Oklahoma, the optics of it, especially that late in the season, it's like, who are we? You know what I mean? That we don't deserve.
Yeah. The one thing I do love too is like,
to me, it wasn't about what anybody else did. It's what we didn't do. You know what I mean?
The thing I love about the strength of schedule argument is that it's always like strength of schedule, but it's not strength of record.
Right. Well, also, it's like, it's like, okay, cool. You can make that argument every year because we're in SEC or Big Ten versus ACC. It's like, yeah, of course. I mean, we're facing ranked teams, but it doesn't matter. It's, to me, I don't think about what any other team that's in there I'm like, what did we do? Like, everyone's like, oh, that Vandy was a pretty good team at times. They beat Georgia, right? And
Vandy had some really shining lights in the years.
But that Oklahoma game, man, I didn't watch it, but when you look at the highlights, it was pitiful. The whole thing. Yeah. There was no chance. It's like, that right there, if I'm a voter, I'm like, they're off my list.
So where I think I even texted you during that game, and I was like, because you were busy. I don't remember what you were doing, but you were
Luckily,
busy.
I was at a Harry Potter.
What is happening?
I was a Harry Potter Symphony Orchestra.
Yeah, that's the week it was.
Which was much better than watching that game, for sure.
Yeah. That sounds awesome, though.
So I try not to, like, comparison is the killer of happiness. You know what? You can't compare yourself to SMU or Indiana or any of these other teams. It's like, what was our season like? We did pretty good, but we also lost some key games. 2 other SEC teams, and then a team that isn't even bowl eligible. So, you know what I mean? If you like, so again, that's my take on it. I just wanted to put that out there because I do love Alabama, and I was like, it'd be amazing to get into playoffs the first year of the playoffs and first year of a new coach. But I also he'll
be back next year. I think he just needs to figure out that. I mean, you're getting a lot of highly recruited guys when you're at Bama, and you got to learn to balance all those heads.
Yeah, for sure.
And that was the great thing Nick Saban was at. But
yeah. And accountability needs to be more of a part of the daily training sessions, you know?
Yeah.
People taking...
When you got your captain on the defense freaking throwing fits in the middle of games, like...
Yeah.
You can't have... That's not Bama. Like, right. You cannot have that.
Well, especially in big games like that, you know, like against SEC teams, it's like, you know, when everyone's watching you, you know what they are, you know? But... They got the NIL money. They already have the reputation. They'll be fine as far as recruits go. But I tried to remind Bryce today, I was 20 years old in 2000 when we went 3. We were a 3-win team. So, you know what I mean? Like, count your blessings, man. Like, it's a pretty good year for a transitional period. Who else? What other program has transitioned and had this many wins? I mean, Nick Saban didn't do this many wins in this first year. You know, when he came to Alabama. So I'd say it's a pretty good success. Didn't lose too many players. You still got Ryan Williams. Maybe Milroe comes back. Jam Miller said he's coming back. You know what I mean? You might have this team again. And like you said, if they get everyone playing on a more like about team and less ego and less emotions about it, you know? Because if you listen to Nick Saban on game day, it's like, you know, that's like... integrity. It's like, that's what he's all about. It was his main preaching point.
Did you see him and Shane?
Alabama Jones.
Yeah. He just kept like apologizing because like, am I offending you? Like, just like that's the last thing I want to do. But he was funny though. That was hilarious. Yeah, Alabama Jones was hilarious.
I will say this: I almost called you this week because you were right. I think it was the Michigan and Ohio State game was big noon had that game.
Yeah.
So game day's losing. So they got to get the McAfees, the Sabans, the Shane Gillis in to get their ratings up because Big Noon's killing them.
They're doing great.
So I thought about that the other week because you mentioned that earlier in the year, and that's like come to fruition. You know what I mean?
And Big Noon is only Big 12 and Big 10, I think.
Right, and to get the Michigan Ohio State game is like the biggest. I mean, to me, one of the biggest college games of the year. Really, right?
Right, I would say so.
It didn't mean much this year, but but it's a big game for them. And just in that stadium is 100,000 people.
Well, Michigan, I mean, a year like that, you can always expect at least Michigan to come in and try and at least destroy Ohio State's season.
Yeah.
And they almost did. Like, they had them questioning them quite a bit, like, for sure.
Well, honestly, that's why I picked Tennessee today. So they're screwing up my parlay. It was just a 3-game parlay, and I didn't put much money on it. But I thought Tennessee, maybe the SEC would look better. And after watching them in that Michigan game, I was like, oh, Ohio State is a fake.
I think Ryan Day is trying to save his job.
Yeah, he has to. Because if you look at his record, he's pretty good except for against Michigan, which is like they'd rather have you lose to everybody except Michigan.
Yeah, they could care less about that. Like,
it don't
obviously,
matter.
championships feel good, but it's like, yeah, we won the championship that year, but we lost to Michigan.
Yeah,
like,
and
what? That's a weird thing to say.
And you got to listen to Michigan fans. So it's even worse if you win a national championship and they're like, we beat you that year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If we had a good enough record, we would have beat you in the playoffs too.
It's like Jake Paul trying to talk crap to Tommy Fury. He's like, well, I beat you. Still got that. Ouchie. So with that being said, what are your thoughts on this upcoming game? Do we have a shot in Snowball's chance in hell at all of even being competitive?
No anymore. I don't know anymore. I feel like the whole team's given up.
We rooting for Caleb to not get injured, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean that's all I'm rooting for at this point is Caleb not to lose every piece of confidence that he has left and to not have him hurt because I feel like that's all that we got left.
And honestly, reps are good as far as learning the game, but it's going to be a different offense, right?
Yeah. I mean, next year it's definitely... I mean, Thomas Brown is not getting the job. Like, unless we're psycho. I think he's a great offensive coordinator, and he'll be an offensive coordinator in the league somewhere. I don't think he's a head coach. He's not there yet. I think he could be. Yeah.
Potentially, but it just seemed too big for him. I mean, the fall off was too much from Eberflus leaving to that Frisco game.
Yeah.
Frisco's not good. And they walked us like we were little baby puppies just learning to walk, you know? I mean, it was...
It felt just as bad as the Cardinals.
I could have swore that George Kittle had 15 catches. He had 5 for an average of 27 yards a catch.
It's insane.
So it wasn't that he was catching a lot. He was just running a really long ways when he did catch it. Like a quarter.
Yeah, I would have thought he had way more catches than that.
Yeah. So it's like, I just don't like. Again, I think part of it is like you said, they just aren't. They're not playing for it. Like they're protecting themselves, you know.
Yeah. Like I feel like in that Vikings game, Stevenson went down because he was kind of done. He didn't want to play anymore for the game.
Yeah, for sure.
But he was my dark horse. I don't feel like we have much of a chance.
He was my dark horse for the year, and he's had some good flashes. But he's another one like similar. He's got to get the emotion under control, man. Every week, I got to listen to guys at work talk about you waving at fans and stuff during the Hail Mary. It's like, I just don't. That's one thing I want to the Bears owners, like, you know how much we're fighting for you guys every week, and we're literally fighting for our lives at the water cooler, in the break rooms, at the pods at work when we're bunched up talking. I mean,
pods.
Give us something to brag about, man. We're fighting for our lives here, and you're giving us nothing. So now we just have to agree with them that they were right all along after all this crap we talked at the beginning of the season. I'm sick of winning off seasons. I would rather have the Vikings off season where everyone thinks we're shit and then come in and do this.
Yeah,
100%. So that's my plea. Like, I've spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of freaking hours and dollars and brain cells and everything else rooting for this team since I was 5 years old, and it's like it's been since I was 5 since we won. It's like I'm a heroin addict that tried it once, and I've been finding heroin again for 40 years. 40 years. And they're like,
06, you almost found it, though.
That's even worse. They're like, Nope. See you again in 20. It's like, what?
Hey, that's coming up.
Yeah.
Next year's our year, man.
Yeah.
We're gonna go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
If we go to the Super Bowl next year, and it's a 20-year thing, like I'm not watching football for 19 years after that.
Yeah, you catch me at the end.
Yeah.
I'll be enjoying my falls, dude. My yard's going to look so good. I'll have all my little projects done. Yeah.
We'll have to spend Sundays watching football that just depresses me.
I'll be like a NASCAR fan. Let's go Ford! No, probably not.
Red Bull soon too.
Yeah. Yeah, Formula
Red Bull
1.
fan.
That's huge, actually, for sponsorship.
Yeah, it is insane.
Rumors and talks of Honda-Nissan merger, which would be huge because they're both like huge in racing alone. But Honda's the only one that like races everything from boats to airplanes, motorcycles, cars.
They're commercial. Yeah.
Yeah.
That they are across the board.
Yeah. So that'd be interesting merger. So I would ask, how do you think we can win this game? Is there a route? I mean, because I kind of see if like we muck it up and just run the ball, control the clock. Their defense is pretty beat up, you know. I mean, we really haven't got any running game going, but get some more of that DJ Moore stuff going, you know, and some of that. I feel like it's achievable.
Yeah. I feel like you play the game of keep the ball out of their offensive hands, like you said.
Yeah.
And get back into a rhythm of getting. Like, I feel like we went back to making the offense too complicated again. Like, we're overdoing it.
Yeah.
We got a rookie quarterback. We don't do much motion, which is insane to me. Once again, like, we should be doing motion. Like, especially with a rookie quarterback. Like, why are you not motioning? Like, it gives you what the defense is.
At least part of it, right?
Zone or yeah. If they're in zone or man, you know exactly what they are as soon as you're in motion.
Yeah, I agree. Also, I will say the shining star defensively of this team is we don't really let number one receivers go off on us.
No. But the number two receiver and tight ends wild.
Right? Like, we let them go crazy.
I will say Kyler Gordon is definitely getting back on track of what he was.
Yeah.
He almost made that insane sideline interception.
Have you heard anything of Jaquan Brisker? Like, is he just done for the year?
No. I don't know if he's alive, to be honest. Like, the way that the media is just like, he's got a concussion. Like,
it's just gone. Yeah, he just disappeared. It's
that's wild.
And it's been more than 4 weeks now, so it's like he could come off IR or 6 weeks.
It's been half the damn year, right?
It seems like it. I don't know. Maybe they just shut it down.
It was before the bye week.
Yeah, maybe. And the bye week was...
Because he didn't go to London.
Yeah, the bye week was week 7. And we're currently heading into week 16.
10 weeks of a...
Yeah. So, what's the deal there? I don't understand.
I don't. And now Roshan's the same thing.
Who's the doctor over there, man? He's like, we're detecting CTE in these guys. We're shutting them down.
He's been out of action since October 6th.
Why? Tell me.
Just with his third concussion in 3 years.
His brain getting boggled, man. Interesting. That's a storyline I'm interested in finding more out about, to be honest with you. Because I feel like it's been
new news on him.
Because I feel like he's one of the actually catalyst on defense that was, part of the shutdown option.
There hasn't been any new news other than one article since November 14th.
Interesting.
In week 5, he was injured against the Panthers. That's right. Because he hit the tight end.
Yeah.
I remember that now. That's insane.
Yeah.
Back on the grass feels good. On November 30th is what he tweeted.
That's a month ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. Why is he...
He's currently in New Jersey flying drones.
Yeah.
Telepathically with
just messing with people.
With the Neuralink they installed in his brain. Let me tell him about Fanatics. We'll come back and talk about the pick'em games this week. Did we even... I think I picked a couple last week, but...
4-0.
All right, I'll tell about Fanatics. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, just want to take a break from the podcast to tell you about Fanatics. At Fanatics, you can find everything you need to support your team, from jerseys and hats to hoodies and accessories. They've got it all. It's officially licensed, so you know you're getting the real deal. And here's the best part. We've teamed up with Fanatics to bring you an exclusive offer. When you use the code 24SHIP at checkout, you'll get free shipping on orders over $24. Plus, by using our special link in the show notes on our website, you'll be able to directly support our podcast. So head over to fanatics.com, load up the best Bears gear, and use code 24SHIP for free shipping on orders over $24. It's a win-win. You get to show off your Bears pride and help keep Barely Maintaining going strong. Thank you for your support, and as always, bear down. Now let's get back to...
Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, check out Fanatics. Get your last-minute Christmas gifts. They won't be here in time, but that's okay. I will say this. I was sitting on the toilet it was like a Tuesday night, and I was like, I want this cookbook. I ordered it. It was at my door when I woke up.
That's insane.
I ordered it at 9 at night, and it was there at 7 in the morning.
It must have been in because we got that Amazon warehouse now. And you're on that side of town, so yeah.
Some poor sap is like, this mother. Hey, on your way home.
I was just about to go home.
On your way home, can you drop this off at the dude's house?
You got that, right? He just chucks it.
Yeah, no wonder they're striking. Everyone pick a package and deliver it on your way home. I just worked a 17-hour shift.
They got the office people deliver packages right now.
I just worked a 17-hour shift. Get in your car. And, sir, this is a refrigerator. Deliver it.
Just worked a 17-hour shift. Oh, don't worry. That's done. I just need you to do this while you're on your way home.
Yeah, we're not paying you for this delivery.
I live the other way. You got it.
Thank you. You'll get a pizza party at the end of the year.
I don't think you realize we're not asking.
Yeah. Oh, you thought
it's in your car already.
This isn't a democracy.
I drive a Toyota Corolla. What do you...
Do you want Jeff Bezos to use lasers on your face? Allegedly. Just kidding. We love Jeff Bezos. Sponsor us. Barely Maintaining brought to you by Amazon. You want something the next day?
I drive an 81 Honda. How'd you fit a fridge in there?
They're such a good company. They'll make their employees deliver your stuff that minute.
Shout out Employee of the Month, 81 Honda.
I literally ordered a cookbook. They walked in the break room and was like, you. What? I just went on break.
Break is over.
I just went on break. Perfect. You have plenty of time then. Make it back before your break's done. So the pick'em games last week. I don't even remember who they were.
You went 4-0.
What?
It was, if I remember right, I deleted it unfortunately, but if I remember right, it was like the Eagles, the Dolphins.
Yep.
Game. And a couple others, but I know you went 4-0 because I just did it. But the who was it? There was a Cowboys game, the Dolphins game, the Bills-Lions game, and the Steelers-Eagles game.
Gotcha.
So yeah, you went 4-0. So you're 36-24 on the season, and I am 32-27 on the season. I went 2-2 last week. So
gotcha.
digging myself a little bit more of a hole here. This week, I got 4 games for us again. Got Vikings at Seahawks for the first one.
I'm going to say Vikings because I think they're a pretty good team. I mean, that defense is pretty good. Brian Flores, I think, will be a head coach again, just based on how good that defense is.
Yeah,
I'm not sold on their offense other than Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison, they have great receivers, but I just don't think Sam Darnold's that good. And they're already like, what do we do with him next year? You know? Do they franchise tag and keep him around for another year? Hope but they got 5 guys on that friggin' roster now. So, I'm picking Vikings, but I think it's because of defense. And I just am not sold on Seattle. They just don't seem to win when they really need to.
I'm taking the Vikings as well. I would say I'd be more likely to take the Seahawks if the Vikings were already out of the division run or won the division run.
Right.
And the Seahawks were fighting for it, because obviously they're still fighting to get that last spot. But I think the Vikings take this one as well.
And I think it's just like all these NFC teams are going to need all their wins, you know?
Yeah.
To get to where they need to be, which is home field, really, is what I mean. They want to win the division, right? And it's kind of heating up now that they had a couple losses, Lions.
Yep. Speaking of NFC's team still in the hunt, 49ers at Dolphins.
Jeez,
49ers are still kind of in that fight.
Yeah,
Dolphins are just weird lately. Like, I feel like they just... I don't know what they are.
Dolphins?
I cannot figure out what team they are.
It's in Miami?
Yeah.
I'm going to pick Miami then. I just think they're, like, in decent weather. They're a pretty good team. I don't know. They're such a hit-and-miss team. It's so weird.
I'm going to take the 49ers just because I just cannot, like, get behind them. And 49ers are somewhat putting it together as of late.
Shanahan's coaching for his job.
Yeah. Which is weird to say.
Yeah, totally.
And I think the 49ers are going to be embarrassed that last week they didn't get a single touchdown. So.
Really?
Yeah, there was no touchdown scored in that Rams 49ers game.
And they
12-6.
They lost that one, right?
Yeah, 12-6.
Yeah, they got to do something because they just lost to a division. I mean, so they got to win out for sure.
Yeah. Need some help, but it's still a possibility. It's just like a long shot.
Yeah.
And then for the last 2 games here, kind of some toilet bowls, but Jaguars at Raiders.
Jags. I don't know.
I'm going Raiders.
I don't have a reason.
Because they're at home.
Yeah. I don't have a reason for that at all. I was going to say, I really don't. They're both using backup quarterbacks at this point. It's kind of like probably new head coaches are coming in both those teams. I don't know. It ain't looking good for either one, really.
I'm only saying Raiders because they're at home. And
yeah.
Pretty much the only upside
I don't know. I just went to my brain and said, what's the defining factor? Alabama quarterback Mac Jones.
Behind him is Iowa quarterback C.J. Beathard.
Oh, there you go, dude. You know who's going to win this. Not because of the quarterbacks, but...
Aiden O'Connell I think he's still starting for the Raiders. I'm not 100% sure that.
I think he might be kind of you don't know yet, you know, if he's good or not. He might be good. I don't know.
I think he's definitely not the right team to develop him.
Not the right coach for sure.
Yeah.
They're just, I mean, again, they're kind of in a position where we are. A defensive coach that didn't give a shit about developing a quarterback.
Or coaching a team at all, but...
Yeah, winning games.
Yeah. Titans at Colts.
Oh. Colts, I don't know. Some voice in my head just said Colts. I don't know why. They're home.
I'm going Titans.
Is Anthony Richardson starting?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know what's happening over there either. It hasn't looked good.
Yeah. Just launch it to Alex Pierce, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Their connection is crazy, like for 80-yard bombs.
That's all they have. It's like that or nothing. Yeah. It's weird. It's like, how is the only play you have is all the way down the field every time?
Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah, but it doesn't have enough for them to be like a good team. So, but again, like you've mentioned several times, you don't really know yet with Anthony Richardson. I think he might be a good quarterback. He got an arm. I mean, the dude can throw it a
He's got a
mile.
cannon.
Yeah.
I think he's like your Jameis Winston style, though. Like, you're going to have to expect some gunslingingness to him where he's going to...
Yeah.
Hopefully not as wild as Jameis Winston, though, because that's crazy. But
a lot of players quitting on teams this year, though. Like, he was like, I'm out of breath, you know? That's alarming. Like, you're out of breath, dude? There's a 300...
Not even in Denver.
There's a 300-pound man in front of you that's running the same speed. What the hell?
I would be less concerned with that if it was like in Denver, because there's a lot of that sickle cell disease, stuff like that really flares up in Denver.
Yeah.
But like, you were in a dome. I think they were at home.
I don't know. The other dude is just like, and San Francisco did him dirty too, because they didn't release him. So they just suspended.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's just benched.
So he doesn't get his game checks and stuff because another team could pick him up if they just released him.
Gosh.
Yeah. So they're like, F you, man. Quit on us, we quit on you. And cost you money.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, so he gets whatever, you know, but he doesn't get to play.
I love it, though.
Yeah. It's like, you want to be savage?
Pettiness.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's interesting. I heard that on NFL Network, like, ooh, he's got to just, his agent's got to be like, so, was there any other games? Was that 4 of them?
That was all 4. We got, Who's That Bear, if you got time for that.
Yeah, definitely.
Last week, I think you got both of them, right?
Yeah.
You got Hunter Hillenmeyer, and then Bernard Berrien was the other one. This week, I've got a couple here. Let's see. First one here. Played for Michigan State University. Was round 11, pick 302 of the 1985 draft. 2 NFL teams. Was part of the 85 Super Bowl. First team All Big Ten. NFL career stats were 9 interceptions, 5 fumbles, fumble recoveries, and 1 sack, and he was a linebacker. Any guess?
Big Ten?
It's really boring. Yeah, Michigan State University.
Is it Lance Briggs?
Nope.
Who's...
Lance Briggs is not boring.
Wait,
come on,
wait.
man.
Lance Briggs was in 06 anyway. What am I talking about?
Yeah.
Richard Dent.
Nope.
Who is it? I don't know.
Jim Morrissey.
Oh, shoot. Dang, man.
He had, like, the smallest Wikipedia page I've ever seen.
That just tickled some weird part of my brain. That name I haven't heard in, like, 30 years.
Yeah.
Weird.
Wondering if you'll, this next one will get you, too. Because he played next to, Mike Singletary, right? We played right next to him.
Yeah. And
let's see. The next
Richard
one
Dent,
here
Richard
is
Dent was back there too.
Stanford University, 23rd overall in the 1988 NFL Draft. Was on 2 NFL teams. Is currently or was recently assistant coach for the Santa Rosa Junior College men's golf team. Was a fullback. He left the Bears because Dave Wanstead would not let him be featured back or be a featured back, so he signed a free agent deal with the Saints. The man he replaced was Craig Hayward, who ended up playing for the Bears, and he retired in '94 due to like nagging injuries that just he couldn't get past.
I did not know this one.
Fullback. Go through all your fullbacks of the 80s and 90s knowledge.
Yeah. I'd have been young then too. I don't know.
It's also crazy to be 23rd overall as a fullback.
Well, it was different then, though. Like, if you look at like who was probably the top 5 were all running backs back then. you know, and really fullback was like more meaningful then too. Every team had
I guess he ran like a bunch of I formation.
Who is it? I don't know.
Brad Muster.
Oh shoot.
Muster, right?
Yeah.
Muster.
Yeah, that's how I pronounce it.
One of the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, Bears were like really known for fullbacks, you know, like
yeah.
There was kind of always a good relation. It's very much like a quarterback wide receiver, the fullback running back relationship, you know, because that dude's just giving himself up for you.
Speaking of fullback, how much does that piss you off that he did not check in?
You have to check in on a running play,
right? Check in as a blocker.
What are we doing, man?
I didn't know you had to check in as a blocker. That's interesting.
It was a running play. It's like you're checking in as an eligible receiver on a running play.
I wonder if it has to do with him being in the backfield. Because wide receivers are technically in the backfield, like not on the line of scrimmage. So I wonder if it has something to do with that or something weird.
I don't know, man. We can't win.
But yeah, I didn't know he had to do that.
It's the fucking Bears penalty. Hey, we've never called this before. It's on you. Only team in NFL history to get called for wiping the ground with a towel in front of where the kicker's going to kick.
Forgot about that.
What? Okay. Like, that's the rule now? We're just doing that?
Yeah.
It's like, come on. Meanwhile, Caleb's getting shillelied and you're not calling it, and Sam Darnold gets looked at funny. You're like, 15.
They're ripping his face mask almost every time they go for him.
That's cool.
Yeah.
They're not really getting him. I don't get it. I just don't get it, you know? It's not the same. And they hit him on the one, and the dude put his helmet into his chest.
Yeah.
And tackled him, kind of drove him down the ground, and they didn't call it. It's like, okay. But then Sam Darnold gets pushed by Montez Sweat as they're running, and it's a late hit or whatever. I don't know. Aggravating. Obviously, I'm biased, so people can argue all they want with me. I'll argue all day.
I'll go out there and argue back.
Washington was holding during that Hail Mary 2 times, and a blindside freaking block.
Yeah.
That started us on this trajectory we're on now.
I think the blindside block pisses me off the most, to be honest, than that. Like, the holding is like, yeah, it's holding. But the blindside block is like, okay, now you kind of have to call that one.
Yeah. Also, like, I saw, like, in this last game, there was a chop block on one of the linemen, and didn't call nothing because he was engaged with somebody else, and somebody else hit his legs, rolled into his legs. And I think it was Bates or somebody, but nothing. I'm like, if that was a Bear doing that to the Vikings, that's a penalty for sure.
Yeah.
I don't get why we have why does Kansas City get all the calls? I mean, you could probably look at the statistics and see that they have more penalty yards against the other team than against them in any given game. I almost guarantee it.
Yeah, I would
every
too.
game. Especially when it comes to quarterback hits. All right, well, we better get out of here. It's already been an hour and 20 minutes.
We'll just keep ranting.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't seem like college football is as exciting as we thought it might be as far as the parity goes just yet.
I hope the next round is at least fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's going to get more interesting for sure, especially the teams that have had a break, because that hurts sometimes, and college momentum is a big deal.
I think Arizona State's going to get hurt by that.
Yeah.
42-17 with 1:56 left.
Ouchie. Brutal. But I think maybe Ohio State is competitive.
Yeah.
Oregon's really good, though. Texas held their own. I think they got 2 good quarterbacks on that team.
They play both of them.
Georgia has yet to play. That's going to be an interesting one.
And Carson Beck sounds like he might not play.
Yeah. But I think their backup actually is better than.
Could also be a positive.
I like their backup more than I like Carson Beck, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think he came in when he got injured in the, I think it was the last game in the SEC championship and against Texas, and he looked good. Kept him moving, you know. It's going to be some fun football over the next couple weeks, NFL-wise, not for Bears fans necessarily, other than being spoilers, but for college and for, some of these bubble teams.
Bama play their bowl game.
Huh?
When is Bama's bowl game?
31st.
31st?
Yeah, I think or whatever day is right around New Year's. Yeah, we got the ReliaQuest Bowl, man. I'm really proud of that. We got into ReliaQuest against Michigan. Hopefully we get to tear up this freaking Big Ten team.
Somewhat excited for the Hawkeyes got Brandon Sullivan back, so.
Nice.
That might be nice.
What bowl are you guys in?
Music City.
Nice. Because I'm making fun of Illinois fans because they're in the Cheez-It Bowl this year. So, against South Carolina, I think.
30th in Nashville, yeah.
So that might be.
I feel like we're always in the Music City Bowl.
That's a good one, I think.
Let's go to Tennessee.
The weather's good, yeah.
Play an SEC team.
Yeah. Mizzou?
Yep.
Yeah. That's a pretty good matchup, actually, I think.
Yeah. Battle of the
like
Black and Gold.
Illinois.
I think the last time we played Mizzou, I think that was a while ago, to be honest. But I think we won.
Yeah, and Mizzou's like hit and miss too. You know, most of the time everyone says they don't.
I mean, they were good
SEC.
for a lot of the season, and they just kind of fell off.
Yeah. But yeah, that'll be. Actually, I think a lot of the bowl games are pretty interesting matchups. I like the Alabama-Michigan matchup. It's kind of interesting, you know. I mean, Michigan's not that great now that they're not, cheating and all that.
Yeah, that is wild that they're playing Michigan. Like, Bama was so much better, I feel like, than Michigan. But
Michigan had a signature win against Ohio State, though, and, they had some wins.
Yeah, it's just a wild, like...
And it's Michigan, and let's be honest, it's more about money, and it's less about...
It's also just a weird feeling saying, what bowl game is Bama in?
Yeah, but again...
When's their playoff game? What time is their playoff game?
Yeah, not like we have a first round bye in the playoffs.
Right.
But again, I was telling a story today, man. Picture this. I'm 20 years old. The year is 2000. Bama just keeps losing and losing and losing. And the Twin Towers are still up, Yeah, what would you rather have? A losing Alabama and still have the Twin Towers? Or where we are now, I don't know what that all correlates to, but I think we're all right, man. We only lost we lost 2 games to good teams and a team that we shouldn't have lost to in our first year, and it's a transitional year. So next year, I'll give it a couple of years. I want to see where we're at in a couple of years when it's just DeBoer's recruiting, because this is still Saban's kids, you know what I mean? And
I'd be curious if
he's probably still helping recruiting.
I'd be curious if he brings that gunslinging Pac-12 offense to SEC style play, because he kind of did it with Ryan Williams when he had the chances. But
honestly, though, when Alabama was really good this year, it was more of the scrambling Nick Saban style Bryce Young offense.
Yeah.
And when they tried to stay, when he stayed in the
player wise, or do you think that's?
Well, yeah, I think that, but that's what Milroe was good at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why he was recruited.
That triple option type play.
Right. And not stay in the pocket, because when you keep in the pocket and try to pass, he looks like he did in Oklahoma. Don't move the ball at all and just get dog walked.
Yeah.
That's my opinion of it. No offense to him. I think he can improve, and he has improved in the pocket passing, but he's really good when they're spying him. You know what I mean? When you have a guy that has to wait for him to run. And he's a good scrambling. He's a good runner. So, I don't know. That's my thoughts on it. It remains to be seen, though. We'll see against Michigan in the ReliaQuest Bowl. Okay? I don't even know what ReliaQuest is. I've said that word so many times now. I have
no idea. I've never even heard of that.
I was joking around with guys at work. I was like, don't disrespect us. We're in the ReliaQuest Bowl. It's better than the Cheez-It Bowl, Illinois fans.
I looked up ReliaQuest, and all it keeps popping up is it's just a bowl game. ReliaQuest Bowl.
It's a
ReliaQuest Bowl. There's no what is ReliaQuest?
It's a made-up company by an Alabama alumni. We'll sponsor a bowl game if Alabama can be in it. Man, another
cybersecurity technology company.
Okay, congratulations. I guess they liked our defense. Yeah.
That's what the drones are for.
Another episode down. This was episode 24. Proud of that fact. We got a lot done. A lot of episodes in this year. Looking back, we haven't had the year we wanted to, but us Chicago fans have a saying. There's always next year. Watch us go out and win the offseason, bud. Okay? We're going to get a new coach. People are going to be out of their minds. Super Bowl contenders for sure. But I want some stability. I want to build something, what was happening to taking the North and never giving it back? We literally got worse and gave more away.
Yeah.
And now the Lions are good. Now we have to contend with freaking 3 good teams in the division instead of just 1.
Yeah.
As always, I want to thank Lindsay O'Brien and Julie Burheit for giving us the time to do this. 24 episodes, that's 24 hours. That means a whole day we've spent, at least, because these are actually out more than an hour long. So,
a lot.
We put in some time, and there's research that happens and all that stuff. So, but make sure you check us out on social media, listen to the episode, watching our lives and TikToks and reels and all that helps us out. With that being said, we'll see you next week with episode 25, and we'll talk about, hopefully, this win against the Lions. But don't get your hopes up.